going to do this scene here, this street scene, a really quick little street scene. And you can see some cars, there's people walking by. We've also got a church here in the background. So there's lots of stuff to paint, and we're going to have an interesting time trying to decipher this all and turn it into a painting. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started on this scene, and I'm firstly going to, it's just really just a sketch. You know, we've got the church in front, with the road, and we've got a bunch of trees here. So we'll just get in the start of the road, kind of like this, just a quick little impression of the road, and probably make it closer to the front as well. You can see some people, it looks like they're kind of walking across a pedestrian crossing or something down on that side. There's a lady just sort of walking across here, got a coat on, pushing a pram, it looks like. I'm trying to reverse it. Could be looks like a sort of pram. She's hidden behind this kind of wall there. Okay, doesn't matter. Quick little indication, and that's a little crossing. Let's see, now we've got a tree kind of coming up here actually, right in the foreground. I'm going to draw that in. It's always important to try to simplify these down, especially if we've got a minimal room, minimal time as well to draw a lot of this stuff in. Okay, there we go, got the trunk going up, disappearing off. I mean, this is quite a complicated looking tree. But remember, the branches just splay off in different angles. Get the trunk in, nice sort of thicker trunk, and we've got a bunch of branches going off in different directions like this. Good. Some more coming off to the left like this. There we are. We've got a tree, something simple like that. I'll add in more details later. But we've got a tree kind of in the foreground. There's a bit of a mound of soil around the tree and grass, lots of this greener grass here. Over here there's actually a tiny little, what you may call it, like a walkway actually that goes in. I'll just quickly plug here to indicate that. There. Oops, coming in more like that. There. And another one. Also maybe coming in there. This is like this little wall. It's a wall like that. Alright, so you can have people kind of walking through there. I think I will actually get in some cars and stuff here as well. I can see a few cars up ahead, and I can draw one in just on the road. There's one that stopped, and so I'm going to quickly get it in while I can before it moves off. Okay, there we go. That's a car. Quick sort of detailing there. Look, the day it's a bit overcast sort of day, so there's not really a lot of shadows, but I can see maybe some basic shadows underneath people and underneath the cars and stuff like that. So I will go ahead and put in some of those shadows. Just get in that car a little bit of that shadow underneath the car here. There's a lady here pushing a pram, but can't really see what's going on. Put another person maybe just standing around here behind the wall like that. another person here walking into the scene. A lot of these people just more obscured by the wall. You can have a car here, kind of just waiting at the intersection. That's a car, like that. And I'll try to get in all the stuff in the foreground first. Another person here. Try not to make them all look too similar as well. This one can be maybe in the back a little bit like that. Okay. And we can get in this church. I'm going to simplify this down, and I'm probably not going to be able to get all of it in as well. Side of it here. There are 3 basic levels. You've got the bottom level. 1, 2, 3. Let's mark out the top of it roughly here. So just separate this into like 3 general levels. See this side of the building kind of coming up like that. 1, 2, and then 3. It's like a kind of what do you call it? Dome or whatever up the top. It's difficult to get it in really. I'm going to just improvise it. Quickly put it in. That. Got a little window up the top there. Opening there. I'm just looking at these as shapes. Simplifying the shapes down. That's the only way that you can do it and get it in as efficiently as possible. Triangular shape here. I don't know if I'll be able to get in the right hand side so well. Probably not. We can try. Okay. And let's put this in the right hand side, this top part there. It's just a square, it's like a cube really up the top. Simplify it down to a cube. You've got another opening there, again some more of these structures, these semicircular structures up the top, and of course the dome. Okay, they've disappeared off the top of the scene. I've not left enough room there, but that's okay. Continue down. I'm going to bring this structure downwards. Okay. So we've got the 2 kind of, I guess we've got the 2 kind of edges of the building. That. Now remember there's 3 floors, so I'm going to just separate out this center one a bit more. Yeah. I mean, there's actually a tree here obscuring what's going on. It's all in the middle. Let's just put a tree in there as well, like that. But other than that, you've got like windows, window here, you've got window there. Some of this stuff I'm just going to have to make up. I can't really see it, and it doesn't matter a whole lot anyway. There's another one there. There's buildings behind as well. We've got another building and this edge of the building, and simplify that down a bit like that. There's some kind of door or whatever there as well, and the side of that, another building, yet another one here. And I'm getting an idea now to perhaps get some light on the the left-hand side of these buildings. Yeah, I'm getting an idea of getting some light on the left-hand side of the buildings and going towards the right-hand side, actually. I think it will just make it look more interesting. There's some trees and stuff here in the background. I'm just going to get in a bit of that. More buildings off in the distance. You can barely see what is going on. Here on the left-hand side, you have yourself yet again more buildings. Okay. And the trick again is just to simplify this all down, because I'm not interested in getting in all the details of the buildings. Okay. Goes out of the scene really. You can't see exactly what's happening with it, but that's the top of the building. Okay. Oops, that's probably too much of an angle. Just get rid of this. More kind of like this angle. There we are. That's better. Yeah. And we could probably put in some windows and stuff here as well, on the side of this building. You know, there's actually cars and whatever behind that, but I'm not fussed at all. I think this is a good little bit to start off, nice little drawing to start off. Okay, let's get started with a bit of cerulean blue, just mixing this up on the palette. And nice blue sky today, so it's really quite watery. I'm using a lot of lots of water through here, and cut around the buildings, right? Cerulean, making it, or trying to make it perhaps a bit darker up the top, but it's difficult because the paint is just moving down the page, and I am working plein air as well. So yeah, if I can just get in a flat wash, I'm going to be happy. Let's put it that way. So cutting around some of these trees and what have you, okay, and just carrying this down, that wash down, and continuing on, just using that same consistency of paint. A lot of it, it's really just mostly water through this mix. Okay, some more here near the buildings, okay, near the top of these buildings as well. The church I really want to focus a bit more of my attention on in terms of the detailing. But what we can do is cut around it nicely like this. Okay, just kind of think to myself as well, where else do we want to put in any of the sky? And that's, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. We can get away with that. Buildings wise, I'm going to be using a little bit of, let's have a look here. I've got a bit of yellow ochre somewhere on the palette. Here it is, in the corner. A little bit of yellow ochre in the corner of the palette. And I'll mix that in with an English red. Or if you've got any kind of red, that's fine, just to dull it down a touch. And use a lot of water, lots of water. It's going to make a big difference, so that it doesn't get too saturated. We don't want to put in really any darks in here yet. And we can even use, see how I'm just sort of cutting around and I'm leaving some of the white bits on the left hand side of the buildings. We can even use the white to create some additional light, exaggerate the light on the buildings as well. So as you can see what I'm doing, just leaving it out, letting it do its thing. And remember that light is coming from the left hand side, or I'm changing it anyway to make it come from the left hand side. So it makes sense just to follow that pattern across the entire scene. Even the top of these domes are kind of they're kind of earthen in colour, so it doesn't matter. I can just do the whole thing in one big go. One thing to take note of as well is that these buildings are also a bit darker than the sky, or significantly darker than the sky wash, so you want to use a bit more strength in this paint, because I don't want to spend all day here mucking around with this. So if I can use just a couple of quick washes, get this done, and get that value in more or less correctly in the first go, I'm going to be happy with that. Okay, here's another building in the back, and again just darker value there. Cutting around, there's another building here. It's actually a bit cooler, this building, so I can pick up a touch of bluish color just mixed in there like that. Add that in, and I've got myself in another building in the background. Okay, there's also a building right in the distance. if I can just use more water here, this would be good to make it slightly more watery down in the back, because everything in the back will be lighter. Okay, and one thing to keep in mind is that we also have trees and stuff like that there. So I've got some pre-mixed green, and I'm just going to use some of this stuff because yeah, I've got it already on the palette. You can mix up your own green though. So here's a bit of green. I'll just chuck this into this tree here in the foreground. Right, just a bit of green like that. And yeah, like I said, I'm using the white of the paper for the light. Okay, just simplifying this down so I've got less kind of washes while we're here. Fewer washes. Okay. Oh, this is a nice kind of green. It's like a more saturated emerald green. I can drop that in. Let it mix in as well to the building if you want a little touch of that. This tree is pretty much just, it's bare. There's nothing going on there, so I'm gonna just leave that until later. In fact, what I'll probably do is just pick up a bit of brown paint, and get in the details of it, just the trunk and what have you. It is quite dark, but we can leave in the right hand side of the tree. I'm trying to mix in this brown with a bit of whatever I've got in the palette, a bit of blue, brown and blue together to make it darker. And so there we go. It's a very dark sort of tree, so we can go in and just get a bit of that branching like that. I don't want to spend all day kind of doing this. Just a quick indication of this will be sufficient. And here's another side of it there. You will get also, there's a touch of light on the left hand side of this tree, so you just leave a bit of it just showing through. Why not? As long as I get in a bit of the trunk, that should be fine. Okay, so we've got some of the tree in, and what I want to do is, while we're here actually, let's paint in this building, and there is some light on that side of the building. I reckon I would leave that, and let's just get in a bit of yellow ochre on the right part of the building like this, and I can actually create myself perhaps a bit of a light pattern running down the building like this. Let's just experiment. A bit of yellow and a bit of blue, perhaps just to darken down colour. That, and kind of cutting across the building like this, and that can be like a shadow shape like that. Some more yellow again on that right side of the building, just to create a bit of shadow, a little bit of that shadow there, and continue on. Just do it all in one big wash. Okay. I think it's looking all right. Get in the top of that side as well. I want to make it just a bit darker, the entire building. Okay, some more green. A little bit of green going in for this tree over here, and it will mix in with the background and do its own thing, but just let it mix in. Let it kind of mix in, and a little bit of colour perhaps in the ground for the road. And I've got some little grey, just pick up a bit of grey and grey this down a touch here. You might get a bit of mixing from the top layers coming downwards as well, but just worry. Okay. There we are. And that's kind of almost a bit greenish actually. I've picked up a bit of green accidentally with that grey, that doesn't matter. Okay. Good. Let's carry this wash a little bit further down the page. I'm thinking maybe a bit of yellow in here just to warm it up. Just a touch like that, a little bit of yellow. Not only there, but I think here also in the foreground, a touch of yellow won't hurt, because we're also getting in some greenish values and that kind of thing. Okay, so just bring that across like that. Okay. Good. I will also get this shadow in for the tree. A little bit of the shadow perhaps just running. Ooh, let's not do that just yet actually. Probably let it dry. But in the meanwhile, what I can do is feather in some green for the grass. I'm going to get a bit of green and a bit of yellow just mixed together to create a little bit of grass here. A little bit of yellow. Okay, there we are. There's a touch of vibrancy. I don't want to overdo it, but something like that, a little bit of that will be good. And you know, the paper is wet, so you're going to get a bit of this nice blending effect. Nice little blending effect as well. Oops. Maybe that's a larger bit or something there. Okay. Let's have a think about what to do. I'll probably get in a shadow here as well, along with a few other things later. But for the time being, let's leave this to dry for just a moment. And I will work on the buildings. And I've got a bit of darker paint. I don't even know what this is. I'm pretty sure it's just a bit of blue. But I'm trying to also pick up some brown, if I can mix the brown in with the blue to create a more neutral colour. And what I will do at this point is work on some of the details, of the windows and that kind of thing. So this should all kind of be dried already. Okay, there we go. A bit of darkness there for that part. A bit here. Try that brush off a touch. Okay, these are basically your darkest values in this scene. Okay. To get in just some of the details of the windows and features of the building here in the back. Okay. The less I touch this, I think, the better. If I can get this in quickly, okay, as a little indication of what's there. Because I don't want to muck up the looseness and the beautiful sort of feel of what's going on already. But this is what you can do in terms of detailing. Okay, bringing back a touch of detail to areas of it. There's a bit more of a window, some more windows here on that side. Here, another window there. Okay, it's just dry brush, bit of dry brush, brown and blue mixed together to create a darker value. You know, you've got some, like a car here as well. I'm going to just get in the wheels of that car, simplify this down, and also the back side of that car I will dull it down as well, make it darker to make it look like you've got a bit more light hitting the side of that car perhaps. Okay. Right. few more little brush strokes for like the windows. And you've got some of these windows here on the building to the left. So I'm going to just paint a bunch of them in quickly to indicate that there is some kind of building here. Okay, like that. Okay. Go back into that tree and create more contrast as well. Not only that, but extra branches as well, like this. Now that the back part of the painting is dried, it's easier to do this. Really dark paint I'm using here. I'm not bothering with adding much water here at all. Okay. Good. Little shadow for this part of the walkway. Okay, in there. Bit of a shadow. And not only that, I'm going to get in perhaps a shadow for the tree in the background here, running towards the right as well. So just indicating something here. Maybe some shadows running in from the side, like that as well. Okay. I'm going to work on the figures a little. Let's put in some colour. Touch of red for the faces of the figures, some of them anyway, out the back. So a little bit of red there. A little bit of red. Here. A bit of red for the heads of these figures. Just indicate where they are. And the bodies, you can really make whatever colour you'd like. I mean, I can go in with a bit of blue for this one, for instance, maybe here. And the blue shirt, walking around. A bit of this colour, whatever it is. Figure here. There was a lady that was pushing a pram actually before, I remember. Can we get that pram in, or just an indication of the pram? Let's try picking up some darker colour, whatever grey that you have mixed up. Out here I'm not concerned about colour accuracy at all. I'm just trying to get in an impression of what I see. Okay, so that could be, kind of looks like she's someone pushing a pram. Just an indication for hair or something like that. There. That's a person. Okay. For the car. That shadow or whatever behind the car there and underneath it as well. Like that. Going to the right. And that's it. I'll call that one done.